The ground spin and ignition systems will come up to flight pressure, and the ship will go on to internal power.
And then after that, the quick disconnect.
Yes, hello, my beautiful friends.
In preparation for retraction shortly after T0. And once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, we still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds and then hold there to assess what happened and if we can proceed again to T0.
Exactly.
We're live, my beautiful friends. We got T-minus 5 minutes and counting. Trump is in the house, about to blast off alongside Elon.
For the day, as the teams would need to refill the deflector's water tanks as well as the propellant storage tanks over at the tank farm before we're able to make another attempt.
Now, it is just so unbelievable that it's just been only a little over a month, and we are just a few minutes away from Flight 6. The crowd here is building up. We've got a much larger crowd here than when we were launching at 4 or 5 in the morning out here. So very excited to have an afternoon launch to have all the employees here.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful day, my friends. Trump is on scene there in Texas, and they're about to launch. You can see he posted this saying, "I'm heading to the great state of Texas to watch the launch of the largest object ever to be elevated, not only to space, but simply by lifting off the ground." Good luck to Elon Musk and the great patriots involved in this incredible project. Indeed, Mr. President, thank you for those kind words on behalf of the engineering team there at SpaceX. We are very excited to see what these amazing individuals can pull off. We got 3 minutes and change.
Send it over to Dan in Starbase. How's it going, Dan?
It is still going great, just coming up on about 3.5 minutes away, so we should be done with our prop load on ship momentarily. Then about 30 seconds later, we'll close out on booster. Our flight control team on board, or in the building just behind me, not on board. Some of them might wish they were on board. Flight control team in the building behind me, they're going to have a lot of work to do right after we lift off. As we still have a lot of manual checks that happen on the tower prior to the flight director, who's going to be Tristan Pierce again today, giving a manual command to bring the booster back to the launch site. And the tower did just incredibly well on the last flight. We didn't lose any of our required redundancy for a catch, and so we're hoping to see that again today. A lot of the team, really putting armor on the tower, making all of those things work, played a huge role in making that catch possible, and looking forward to hopefully seeing that happen again. And of course, sending our first payload to space. You can see the banana. It's very tightly secured, but I assure you it does have some room to float around.
See the banana right there?
In a zero gravity environment, we should see our first Starship zero gravity indicator putting on a little bit of a show. And that's looking right in. That's
banana.
Where we're going to have Starlinks. That's our PEZ deployer. So getting its ride to space. So coming up on about 2.5 minutes, we are closing out on all of our prop load. Just heard that our fill drains are starting to close, so that means we're no longer going to be flowing propellant into the booster and the ship. We're going to do what's called pushbacks. So all of that propellant in the ground systems is going to get pushed back to the tanks, clear out everything around the pad.
I'm excited.
Right before we light those 33 engines and take off. Just quick reminder, you're going to see fire start at the bottom. You're going to see the deflector start at about 10 seconds before launch. Lots of water to help dissipate all that heat, all that sound. And then the engine starting up in 3 different groups. And then about a second after T0, we should see liftoff. About 2.5 minutes into the flight, a little bit longer, we'll see hot staging. And that's when we're going to be listening really close on those loops to see if we're going to be bringing the booster back for a catch today. Do always want to caution.
Let's do it.
It's never a guarantee. We've done this once.
Yeah.
We'll see if we do it again. We're only going to do it if the booster and the tower are looking really good before we attempt to bring it back here. But coming up on a minute, not tracking any holds on the board right now. So as long as we don't have any last second things, which do happen.
Under a minute. Let's go.
All right, flight director just confirmed T-minus 1 minute. Key moment to look at in 10 seconds, that T-minus 40. And we flew right through that.
30 seconds.
Flight directors, go for launch.
We're go for launch.
All right, we're now T-minus 20 seconds until liftoff of Starship Flight 6. This will mark our second attempt to catch the Super Heavy booster at the launch tower,
10,
as well as
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
let's go! Yeah! That's America right there! To the moon! Let's go, baby. Beautiful. Woo! Incredible. Look at the
Vehicle
size
is
of that
pitching
thing.
downrange.
Booster Raptor, chamber pressure nominal.
Wow. We're going to Mars, baby! Wow.
Booster and ship, avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
We're at 1,100 kilometers per hour, 1
All
minute
right,
We're
in.
just a little over a minute into
maximum
flight.
dynamic pressure.
We're about 6 miles away, so all the sound's still hitting us here. Hearing good call-outs that power telemetry nominal, that's flying straight and true. We do see all 33 Raptor engines lit up on telemetry screens. At this point, we've passed through that point of maximum aerodynamic pressure, that max Q. Now, coming up in just a little over a minute from now is going to be hot staging. So we're going to see the 6 engines on the ship ignite while still attached to the booster. Just before that, we'll see all but 3 center engines on the booster shut down. In what we call MECO, it's most engines cut off instead of main engine.
Great camera, man.
And
They
so
still have a
while
nice
we
shot
continue
on
to
that.
watch it go up, a lot of our flight controllers looking at all the systems around the tower. Again, we have to send a manual command. Just about 30 seconds away from hot staging.
We're living in the future, man. What's happening? So it sounded like they were going to give it a cue.
And we heard the tower is go for catch.
Booster engine cut off.
The return flag is set for true.
Ship engine startup.
Whoa, baby!
Stage separation.
All right, hot staging confirmed.
Booster
6 out of
boost
6
back
lit on the ship.
Okay,
Booster
coming
boost
back.
back going. We heard that we are go for catch. Kate, Jesse, take out the views. Hopefully I got a booster coming home real soon.
Wow, from our view here, Dan, great views of planet Earth behind that Super Heavy booster. Right now it is performing the
Ship
boost
chamber
back
pressure
burn.
nominal.
Good news there, telling us that the pressures inside the ship are good. That is the second stage or the upper portion of the vehicle. Follow along with the telemetry on the bottom of your screen.
Yes.
Yeah, booster is currently, Super Heavy is currently in its boost back burn. This boost back
Ship
burn,
avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
this
Two
boost back
objects
burn
on the
lasts
bottom.
just a little bit over a minute. So we've got a little, approximately 30 seconds left.
We've had shutdown of that boost back burn. Up next will be hot stage jettison. The view from the camera on the left, or from the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, and then tracking cam there on the right-hand side of your screen.
Wild.
We'll see those grid fins.
Booster offshore divert.
And we can also see that the hot stage has been jettisoned.
Yes, visual confirmation of that there on your screen, which is great. Now the next
Starship is following a nominal trajectory.
step for booster is going into that landing burn. Again, it'll light up 13 of those engines and then pare down to 3 engines right before booster catch.
All right, now just real quick, we did hear the call out, booster offshore divert. Unfortunately, that means that we are no-go for the catch. As we said before, both the tower and the vehicle, as well as the operators on console, have been actively evaluating the commit criteria for that return to the launch tower. And unfortunately, we did not have a pass on those commit criteria. So we are no-go for tower catch.
Dang it!
And we did mention that we're constantly evaluating the criteria for
We'll
catch.
get 'em next
There's
time,
a lot
boys
of
and
things
girls.
that need to go well in order to line
Good
that up.
effort.
Unfortunately, today
This
we
is
will forego booster catch today.
Still pretty cool.
But what you're seeing on your screen is ship currently making its way towards the Indian Ocean. Still looking good so far.
Exactly. So views there of the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, views of the ship on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, we've said before that it was not guaranteed that we would be able to make a tower catch today. So while we were hoping for it, like we said, it was
that
pretty
the
epic
flat
on
Earth?
attempt one, but the safety of the teams and the public and the pad itself are paramount. So we are accepting no compromises in any of those areas.
Exactly, and we're still
Jerry
going to get
Nadler
a
up
lot
there?
of good flight data with booster even, but especially with ship. Again, we have an additional objective today to do an in-space relight of a Raptor engine, which again will help us set us up for being able to do deorbit
Wow,
burns, which
man.
is
Chamber
Look.
pressure nominal.
which is important for orbital flights. And what you're seeing on your screen is a view from Super Heavy as it's making its way back down to Earth.
Yeah, once again, we are attempting an offshore landing of the Super Heavy booster. So we have seen this before, and it is still very fun to watching it come down for a soft splashdown off the Gulf Coast of Texas.
Here we go.
We can see it there re-entering. We saw earlier those grid fins. There are 4 hypersonic grid fins. Oh, we can see that the landing burn has begun on the Super Heavy booster.
And same pattern, 13 engines will light,
Get out
gone
of
down
town.
to 3 just as we expected. And what an incredible view of splashdown that we got today of
Did you land
Super
it,
Heavy.
Yeah, I'm sure the buoy
Oh, I
cam
think it fell
views
over.
will be pretty awesome
Is it
once
supposed to
again.
fall over?
So we'd like to confirm a water landing once again for the Super Heavy booster.
They got
Congrats
it.
to the
They caught
SpaceX
it.
team for making that milestone as well. Now, ship continues to look good. We can see that it is, while all of that was happening, the crowd here in Hawthorne continuing to react to all these amazing views that we're getting. The next milestone is
Starship is in terminal guidance.
great news there. Starship terminal guidance, referring to what we see here on our screen, the upper stage, at about 8 minutes 35 seconds or so, we have ship engine cutoff, which will be the cutoff of the Raptor engines.
Where's the banana? Let's check on the banana cam.
We can see on our screen ship giving us some incredible views brought to us by Starlink. This view is also very interesting because we can see basically the receding tile line that we referred to earlier, where we mentioned we have removed a number of heat shield tiles in order to test out and push the envelope on the ship and demonstrate what its capabilities are.
Ship engine cutoff.
And there we just heard call out for SECO, ship engine cutoff. Great news there. Everything continuing to look awesome for ship.
Full view looking aft on ship here.
Ship FTS is saved. Nominal orbit insertion.
There's that call out we were waiting for. Confirmation of good orbital insertion for ship today.
It has been a very exciting afternoon so far. We'd like to send it back over to Dan, who can give us that live view experience. Dan, once again, are you okay after witnessing another Starship launch?
Yeah, totally fine. It's you guys have to be jealous. This is the only way to do this. This is fantastic. No, it was really cool to see a lift off 33 out of 33. Didn't go for the booster catch today. Initially, we were good, and then we tripped a commit criteria and did the offshore divert. So we went and did that water landing, as everybody saw. We'll dig into it a little bit more, but again, we've done it once, we've now done it twice. We're going to keep trying to do it, as this is just a core capability of Starship and what's going to make it so incredible. There's a lot left. We're just about almost 10 minutes into this flight, so about 50 plus minutes still to go.
Wild.
Ship nominal orbit, so it's on its way around the planet. It's going to attempt to do an in-space burn. We're going to light one of those Raptor engines, the sea level ones in the middle, just to help demonstrate that we can relight in that microgravity environment. Really critical for deorbit burns as we start to do some orbital missions in the not too distant future. And then following that, we'll see a ship entry, maybe a splashdown. As you guys said, we're really going to be pushing ship on this one.
Cookie, I
we're
think,
pretty much intentionally putting it in places where we expect it might not
we're
do
waiting
so
for
great.
the banana cam. Was that the banana that
help us
exploded?
learn,
Hopefully
see
not.
if we were a little too conservative, and then maybe that opens up more capability for when we start catching them. But
UFO.
I'll check back in with everybody in a little bit. I'm going to tune in and watch the ship fly around planet Earth, and hopefully we see it re-entering in the not too distant future. Back over to you guys.
This stuff is just incredible. Obviously, we're waiting for banana cam. They got 50 minutes.
By definition is unpredictable, which we saw with super heavy splashing down in the Gulf.
Absolutely unbelievable that they're in space. 11 minutes ago, they were on the ground. Stand by for star cams.
Launch, and we expect the road and beach to remain closed until further notice.
It's going around the planet now.
Testing development flight hardware in a flight environment is what enables our teams to quickly learn and execute design changes and hardware upgrades to improve the
All right, so it's flying around the planet. It's going to come back, and I think they're going to try a different burn. And so we're going to keep our eye on this, but we've got other business to attend to. And so, yeah, so I'll keep this in a picture-in-picture situation like that. Aha, that's how we'll do it. Picture-in-picture situation like this. And we'll keep our eye on it. All right, so then we can move that around. Now, my friends, what a historic day. Launching rockets. Trump was there. Let's see, did Trump say anything in the aftermath? We're living through such an interesting time. And we're venturing into new territories. Feel like Star Trek, baby. It's cool. All right, so we'll keep our eye on what's happening in outer space, but we've got some other business to attend to, my friends, and so I'm very glad that you're here and with us. Today, quick preview on what is coming up. We got some Gaetz stuff because apparently they said that Gaetz and his file got hacked, which is not good if that is the case. The New York Times is posting about it. We got ABC News and more. And so we'll go through that and see what that story is. Is this a hacker or is this the FBI or the CIA? We don't know. We've also got updates out of New York because Alvin Bragg is having a rough time. They submitted a filing to Judge Mercan talking about the sentencing. Obviously, Trump was allegedly convicted in this trial, and they had a sentencing date that was coming up, but that sentencing date has now been moved. And now Trump's team is declaring victory. They're saying that they have won the Manhattan case because the prosecutors submitted this filing, which is basically admitting that they need a delay or that a delay is warranted in the sentencing. So is Trump going to be sentenced before the presidency, before he assumes office? Unlikely. And we'll go through this. This is a fun one because it also included Alvin Bragg was responding to Todd Blanche and Emil Bove. This is a new letter that we haven't read yet. And Todd Blanche and Emil Bove, you know where they're going, remember? The DOJ, baby. You better believe it. So we're excited about that. So we'll read through that. We'll see what Alvin Bragg and his team are up to. And then we'll talk about the border because Trump confirmed for us on True Social that there is going to be a national emergency declared and military assets are going to be used to take care of this immigration problem. And Tom Homan was out over the evening and explaining that when people like Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey and others like Wu, the mayor of Boston, when they come out and they say, we're not cooperating with President Trump, Well, Tom Homan has something to say about that. He's not real happy with that decision. He says maybe you guys should think twice about it. So I've got some clips from him and from the Democrats saying that they are going to be defying the will of the American people. And we'll see what our new border czar does and how he acts accordingly. And so we got a bunch of good stuff queued up, my friends. Very glad and grateful that you're here and with us and that we got to enjoy that blast off into outer space together. That was a lot of fun. And in doing that, I wanted to make sure that we were racing to get that started. And so I was a little unprepared. You may have seen some of those tabs loading behind the background. Not my finest moment, but we got through it. All right. But we're going to keep our eye on what's happening there in SpaceX land, in outer space with ET and others. But we've got other business to attend to. And so let's just get to it, shall we? Yes, we shall. All right. So let's start with Matt Gaetz because we got new business here. The Gaetz file allegedly hacked. This is a big one because the Republicans are trying to keep this sealed. The Democrats want it open. And now the New York Times, in conjunction with others like ABC News and the Daily Mail, are all reporting that somebody has accessed the file. Was it a hacker or was it just the regular old FBI? We don't know. But here is what the story says. It says the hacker is said to have gained access to the file with damaging testimony about Gaetz. Oh no! The computer file is said to contain testimony from the woman who said she had intercourse with Gaetz when she was 17. Oh no. Now, an unidentified hacker, we don't know who it is, it's mysterious, has gained, maybe it's 4chan, that one guy, access to a computer file shared in a secure link among lawyers whose clients have given damaging testimony. The former congressman, who is now the nominee to be the AG. The file is of 24 exhibits. It's said to include sworn testimony by a woman who said that she was 17, who said she said that she had intercourse with him, and corroborating testimony by a second woman who said that she witnessed the encounter, right? And those are salacious allegations. And if those are true, and I want to be clear about that, that is a problem. Just like we've said historically, that if President Trump actually stole classified documents and was using them for the purposes that they claimed he was using them for, then that would be a problem too, right? If there was actually a situation where Trump was believing that he legitimately lost the election and then was trying to steal an election, that would be a problem too. Okay? Bad things are bad. We have no problem saying that bad things are bad here. If that is true, that's a bad thing. And we don't want an attorney general who's doing that, just like we don't want a president who's stealing documents, just like we don't want an insurrectionist president. But what the pattern has shown here is that allegations against Republicans are not true and that they're not legitimate and that they're not credible. And so why should we give this any credibility? Because we've seen a historic pattern where it's not true. It's fake propaganda BS because they don't like the candidate. Now, that information was downloaded by a person using the same name, using the name Altum Beasley on Monday. According to the person who was not authorized to speak publicly, a lawyer connected to the case sent an email to the address associated with Altum Beasley, only to be informed in an automated reply that the recipient does not exist. The material does not appear to have been made public by the hacker. Okay. The documents, who is it, Liz Cheney? The documents include information that is under seal with the Justice Department, which investigated Mr. Gaetz but did not file charges, and the House Committee on Ethics, which has completed its own inquiry into Gaetz. The ethics panel members are scheduled to meet on Wednesday, that's this week, to decide on whether to vote to release the material it has gathered. But the hacked trove of documents stems from an altogether different source, a civil suit being pursued by a friend of Mr. Gaetz, Christopher Dorworth, a Florida businessman. Mr. Dorworth filed the suit against both women who say she had intercourse with Gaetz when she was a minor, and Joel Greenberg, an erstwhile ally of Gaetz, who is serving an 11-year prison sentence after pleading guilty to trafficking charges. Mr. Dorworth has claimed that he was defamed by them, both of whom had told federal authorities that he hosted parties where Gaetz took drugs and openly did those things, right? So he's saying, how dare you say that that happened in my place? In their defenses, lawyers for Greenberg and the woman have solicited sworn statements from others who say they were witnesses. They got 24 exhibits. So he's basically a co-conspirator of Gaetz, if you want to phrase it that way, allegedly, suing them for making false allegations. Like, that didn't happen. The 24 exhibits were attached to a motion prepared by lawyers for Greenberg and the woman in response. The hacked information also includes sworn testimony. Sounds like the Times has it. Do they have a copy? From Mr. Dorworth and his wife, as well as testimony from Michael Fisher, Mr. Gaetz' former campaign treasurer, who is also said to have attended the party. It also contains various supporting material like gate logs showing who entered the property when the two women said the encounter with Gaetz occurred. The material taken is unredacted and includes the names and personal information of the witnesses, but is otherwise said to be more damaging to Gaetz than to his accusers, according to the person familiar with the hack. The hacker has not contacted the lawyers since Tuesday morning, and it was not clear what the motive the person might have. Yeah, unclear what it could be. So ABC News, they also came out, and their sources are reporting the same. Says documents, including unredacted depositions from key witnesses in the case, are believed to have been taken. Attorneys involved in the lawsuit, brought by a close friend of Gaetz, received an email last night, informing them that confidential documents had been downloaded by an unauthorized party, according to an email that ABC got. Gaetz is not a party to the lawsuit, although he was subpoenaed for testimony because he's mentioned in it. On Sunday, it was a share file link. Oh no, share file. You have to add the email addresses, to the links. Don't just do a share all link, Containing 24 exhibits from the civil case was accessed by someone using the name Altam Beasley. Those involved in the case believe it's a pseudonym, and there's an investigation into the hack. It doesn't sound like it was that serious of a hack. Someone shared a link. What's your email? Please enter your email to access this file. Altam Beasley. Here you go. Download it. Wow. Hacker extraordinaire, man. He's good. Should be working with the CIA, I guess. The documents that were downloaded include unredacted depots saying that Gaetz had intercourse with her. Gaetz did not respond to a request for comments. And now the committee is obviously digging into it. Now, the Gaetz claim continues. Okay, Daily Mail's talking about this, saying that apparently he used his adopted Cuban son's PayPal to pay for intercourse, says the women lawyer for his victims claims. All right. Now, Gaetz used his adopted son's PayPal account, say two victims. Two women interviewed by the House Ethics Committee about Gaetz testified that he paid them directly for intercourse. Gaetz shocked Congress in 2020 when he revealed he had an adopted son. He said he was dating Galban's sister and the boy's mother had recently died from cancer when they all moved in together. He did not formally adopt Nestor, but says our relationship as a family is defined by our love for each other, not by any paperwork. And Nestor Galban was only 12 when he came into the U.S. from Cuba. He lived with Gaetz for 4 years. He then lived with his biological father, and he's now a U.S. citizen. Gaetz resigned from Congress, and now he's under investigation. So that's Gaetz and Galban, and that's Gaetz, Ginger, Nestor, Donald, and Matt Gaetz. I guess that's the crew. All right. So, interesting times. This is Matt Gaetz' ex-girlfriend, May Mendez. So he adopted her brother. Okay. All right. So anyways, Gaetz is under an investigation from everybody. Everybody wants to dig into it. Who knows what is happening with the son or the ex. But here's what Elon says. As for these accusations against him, I consider them worth less than nothing. Under our laws, a man is considered innocent until proven guilty. Exactly right. If A.G. Garland, who's an unprincipled D-bag, could have secured a conviction against Gaetz, he would have. But he knew he could not. Case closed. From Elon. Garland should be investigated and locked up, says Gunther Eagleman. What's up, Gunther? Yeah, you're right about that. Elon says Matt Gaetz has 3 critical assets that are needed for the AG, all right? A big brain, a spine of steel, and an axe to grind. He is the Judge Dredd America needs to clean up a corrupt system and put powerful bad actors in prison. Oh, gosh. The Sylvester Stallone, Judge Dredd, or the other Judge Dredd? Either way, I'm ready for the hammer of justice. Let's go, baby. Love the imagery. All right, so here's what the Senate's saying about this. This hearing is just going to be absolutely wild. Ad Boa says it's going to be lit, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait for this. Matt Gaetz is going to come prepared. He's going to, what'd you say about that 17-year-old? What'd you say about my son? Oh, I can't wait for that line. All right, here is what CNN said.
You want to see it?
Oh, wait,
more importantly, I want the Judiciary Committee to be able to see it prior to the hearings. And then after that, depending on what happens, then of course it could be released to the other members that are going to at some point have a vote. So that's been my main point, is that you have to determine whether or not the cost of getting him across the finish line is worth it, much less the possibility that he won't get across the finish line.
But if this nomination were to go down and he tried to install him via recess appointment, would that be okay with you?
Well, I think it'd be very difficult to. I just think it'd be unwise to do that if
Why?
he can't get the votes of the majority party, which is his party.
Why? Politically?
And a key point there that Kevin Cramer opposes the idea of installing him via a recess appointment if Gaetz were to come down, if it could be rejected by the United States Senate. That's going to be a key point of contention if that's ultimately what happens here. But this all comes as Donald Trump himself is trying to pressure Republican senators to fall in line, believing that ultimately he can get them to fall their way. And here's another key point here, Aaron. There are 5 members on the House Ethics Committee, Republican members. The question is, will any one of them break ranks and side with Democrats to vote to release that report? We don't know that yet, but we do know that some of those House Republicans are blocking its release.
All right, Manu.
All right, so a lot of hemming and hawing there in the Senate. We're going to see a lot more of that. Trey Gowdy is back, and we had a follow-up on Trey Gowdy, and I think we'll clarify that today. But Trey Gowdy, who does not like Matt Gaetz at all, is now bringing on Karl Rove, who does not like Donald Trump at all, and they're having a little pity party on the Fox News.
This could be very harmful. There'd be one thing if this guy had a reputation as, 1, an extraordinarily gifted legislator, 2, a tremendously gifted trial attorney, a proven prosecutor, somebody who had managed a big law firm and had demonstrated legal ability. But no, he has none of those attributes. In fact, he has a reputation on the floor of the House for having shown pictures of his conquest to his fellow members. So if that's the best you can do, you're not going to get confirmed.
Okay, thank you for that, Carl. Don't think that's the best we can do, but thank you for your analysis. Now, earlier in the week, you may have heard your boy here do a little impersonation of Trey Gowdy, and you may recognize the voice as resembling Kermit the Frog, but we did do that. And a very nice person called E. Dantes on our locals asked a question, said, well, Rob, it seems like, very politely, said, Rob, it seems kind of like you might not like Trey Gowdy based on the fact that you're mocking him relentlessly. What gives? And it was a great observation. And I was thinking about it and I thought, yeah, what is it? Why don't you like him? What is your problem with him? Am I being overreactive? Am I being somebody who has not given him a fair shake? And what I recalled at the time was just a lot of talking from him. And he was kind of, on Paul Ryan's team and on Mitt Romney's team, and then not really on Trump's team, and kind of an institutionalist, right? Former prosecutor who's just always kind of straddling both sides of the aisle. But I couldn't really think of anything that was specific. But then I came up with an example. I said, well, when I hear Trey, what he usually does is he comes out and he says that what he's about to say is going to be extremely provocative or very important. He's like, okay, I'm about to say something and it's going to blow your socks off. And you're like, you're kidding. What is it? And then he says something, and it's the most obvious observation you've ever seen that nobody cares about. It's not controversial at all. And you're sitting there, you got me all worked up for that, Trey? And I thought, he does that all the time, okay? And so I thought, well, Rod, just, okay, give a fair shake. Go pick an interview, and you can believe that I did this or not. But I did. I went over to YouTube. I pulled up an interview with him, and I thought, I want to hear like a long-form interview of this guy, right? To see what he sounds like. This is just a tangent. What's going on? Who is this person? Maybe I've not heard enough of him. Okay. I just heard the clips on Fox. So I come over here, and it's not to pick on Trey, but this is a wild story. From my perspective, I come up with that example that this is all he does. And I fast forward because they spend the first like 5 minutes of this podcast talking about his little hat. Then I get to this exchange and he says this. I'm not kidding you. This is the first clip that I listened to. And I'm like, let me just like listen to more of Trey.
For even more per person COVID relief.
Yes.
And
okay, this is about a year old. Okay, it's not a new. This is 1 year old on the Will Cain show. Just to be clear, I just wanted to get a long form interview, like 1 hour with Trey. Who's this guy about?
That's popular. Conservative would say we're going to do an accounting, and if COVID and the pandemic has impacted you, that's a government taking. We're going to make you whole.
Right.
If COVID or the pandemic has not impacted you, you're not going to get a windfall. That to me is conservatism. What I began to see was electioneering. What can we do to win the election? And some people may say, well, that's the purpose. We have to win. That's where I kind of lost interest in politics. I think the way you do things matters every bit as much as the result. And I would rather lose with a set of deeply held convictions than try to become more amorphous and figure out what and again, this is
here it comes.
Proof positive, Will. I'll never run for anything ever again because this is a wildly unpopular comment.
Holy moly. Are you serious? This is going to be wildly unpopular? You guys better be sitting down for this. Get ready.
But the majority can be wrong.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
So there's a difference between majoritarianism and correctness. And the fact that something's popular doesn't make it mean it's right. I think conservatism tells people what they ought to hear, what they should hear, what they would benefit from hearing, and they persuade them. And populism is more finding out what they think or believe right now and giving it to them.
Okay, now listen, Will Cain, this is like the first thing I listened to. I listened to like 3 minutes of like, I'm like, this, like it happened the first 3 minutes I listened to him. He did it again. Now listen to Will Cain. He's like, no one cares what you just said. Listen, thankfully he called him out.
I mean it. I want to be respectful of your time, and you can tell me how much because I want to return to the book. So, but I can't help but pursue my curiosities. First of all, I don't think saying the majority is often wrong is going to somehow disavow you of future public office.
No,
I mean,
it's
the
not.
reason we have a constitutional republic.
Duh.
It's based upon that idea. We're not a democracy. We have a constitutional republic based upon the idea that majorities can be wrong. So I think that's self-evident. And
yeah, obviously.
I think,
yeah, Trey, it's self-evident. Okay, so literally I turned it off right about there. I said, wow, that's exactly right. So shout out to Will Cain. Now, I just bring that up because it was like the first 3 to 5 minutes of me wanting to explore who is Trey Gowdy really? That's exactly what I came across. So anyways, that's why you'll hear me. I'm just explaining why you'll hear me sometimes. Trey Gowdy, yeah, I'm going to save America. And do that whole thing because stuff like that irritates me. I don't like it when people on our side, supposedly on our side, people like that are not on our side, right? They come out and they say that the rest of us are idiots and we make dumb observations or something, and they're above the fray. It's not going to win me any points to say this. You didn't say anything, all right? So stop acting like you're on a pedestal above us all. And you make great observations. You make dumb observations like that, all right? So shout out to Will Cain for calling that out. But anyways, I don't know why I'm so spun up on it, but I don't know, have to talk to a therapist or something. But all right, Trump War Room posted this. They're still talking about this and what they're going to do with Gaetz. It's going to be the main subject for a while. Here is this story.
Are these allegations enough, do you think, for the Trump team to, sort of pull back on this Gaetz pick? I mean, at this point, is it a little too much at this point to push forward?
No, I don't think so yet. I mean, I always go back to the Washington Post reported out that there was witness credibility problems. That's what the Justice Department cited when they said they weren't going to go after him on this stuff. And I think it's important.
Oh, there were credibility problems. Oh, no. Isn't that a shame? So the DOJ didn't do anything with it, but the Democrats are allowed to smear Gaetz with it every single day. It's the same pattern and strategy that we've seen with Trump ad nauseum. And these are gruesome allegations. They're nasty allegations. to say 17 without more from somebody with credibility problems is disgusting.
In a country that says you're guilty, you're innocent until proven guilty, that we should take that into consideration. And so the ethics committee is going to do what they're going to do tomorrow. I personally think, they don't really have a history of putting these reports out there, so I think it would be kind of a surprise and a little bit of a break to their credibility if they put it out there. But really, at the moment, it's going to go to the Senate. One way or another, it is heading towards the Senate, and these senators are going to have to make a decision as to whether they want to buck Donald Trump. And oftentimes when lawmakers buck Donald Trump, it doesn't usually work out so well for them. But that's
yeah, good, because we know what you're doing. We know what the pattern is. You've done it before. You've done it with Trump. Bergdorf got Bergdorfed in a dressing room at Bergdorf's. No, she didn't, in my opinion. No, she didn't. All right. So we know how they operate, and it's the same story as old as time. So the Senate, who is the subject of a lot of conversation this week and will continue to be until we get Trump's cabinet appointed, they came out today. We had the current Senate Majority Leader, Senator Mitch McConnell, who is joined by John Thune, the next Senate Majority Leader, who came out before they did a little tag team musical chair senator routine. Now, I clipped around on it and was watching this, and it will make you sick personally. The first several minutes of this, what McConnell talked about was Ukraine for his whole book report. His turn in front of the teacher was all Ukraine. Then Thune comes out, all Israel. Then number 3 comes out. We start talking about the border. So other lands and countries before we get to American domestic issues from our Senate of 100 so-called leaders. It'll make you sick. Now, you can listen to it if you want. We're going to fast forward through it because they are not even pretending that they care about real Americans first. It's all invested in foreign interests first. And then they came out and took some questions. And so here is what Mitch McConnell got asked from Manu Raju, taking us in on finally Matt Gaetz.
Stakeouts in my current role. I want to continue the weekly tradition. Manu.
Thank you. Thank you. And this question is for you and Senator Thune. Given how important the Attorney General nomination is, shouldn't senators have access to all the information, including everything the House Ethics Committee found in its investigation into him?
Look, the Constitution gives us a role in personnel called advice and consent. My view is that's exactly what will unfold here when these nominees are actually sent forward. And we'll treat them like we've treated all others with a proper vetting.
Senator Thune, should you see it?
You were quoted over the weekend as saying there would be no recess appointments. Can you clarify what you said and what you meant?
Well, we'll see. I haven't addressed that issue.
In any capacity?
No.
Yeah, that was fake
There've been all
news.
kinds of rumors floating around, but I haven't addressed that issue. We'll just see how this unfolds. We've got 6 weeks here, or actually 2 months.
Would you oppose any efforts to do recess appointments?
As a practical matter, do you think President Trump could actually force the Senate to take a recess? And what do you think about the idea of appointing some of these high-level cabinet positions during a recess and circumventing the Senate's advice and consent role?
Well, you're asking basically the same question.
It is the same question.
My answer remains, we'll see what happens between now and the new administration. And at that point, nominations can actually be sent forward. And we'll figure out how to handle them then. And I'm confident that we'll engage the same kind of vetting process that we have historically done under both parties for these nominees.
Mr. Leader.
Pardon?
Do you want a year-end omnibus spending bill, or would you prefer, at this point, a continuing resolution?
I'm sorry?
Do you want an omnibus spending bill at the end of the year?
That's yet to be determined as well. And there are pros and cons both ways. We'll just see how it plays out.
Leader McConnell.
All right, so that's our Senate. Now, we'll see what he does on those recess appointments, because my understanding is last time around, he would continue to keep the Senate in session, which means the houses are not in recess, which means Trump can't make those appointments, which is why Trump didn't make those appointments the last time around. But are we going to be able to do that this time around? And is McConnell going to be in charge? He'll be in charge for the next 2 months. But what about after the fact? Will things change? So we'll keep our eye on it. Now, meanwhile, this is a fun one. Spotted outside the Department of Justice is the shredding company. Commercial shredder on scene. As we suspected, shredders go burr and shred. That's what they sound like. And today, they were there. The Oversight Project was on the scene, says, we have maintained a physical investigative presence by the DOJ, which is also more convenient for cooperating sources. And they're on scene, saying today, a paper shredding truck arrived. People just running out with wheelbarrows. They've got dumpsters. They're torching dumpsters out there. Look at this. Your entire the entire garbage can you wheel out to the side of the road, filled with Jack Smith's corruption right in there, shredding it away. Isn't that nice? So we'll keep our eye on it. Thankfully, the Oversight Project is there. We said it was going to be happening, and now it's happening at commercial scale. We'll keep our eyes on it. Thanks for subscribing. We'll see you back here. All right, and now, my friends, let's pause. Let's go back to where we're at and see what SpaceX is doing. Oh, man. That got really loud. Okay, that was the banana cam. Let's see. We got to do a refresh on this. Hopefully, we can get this cooking again. Let's see what is happening there. We're going to pause and just check back in with SpaceX. All right, now it's not working. Might crash the whole system. Oh, gosh, banana cam. Let's wait. And let's see if it comes back alive. I don't know what's happening. All right, maybe, might want to X out of that one. All right, we'll try it again here in a new tab. Let's see what SpaceX is doing over here. I don't know what happened. All right, they're still live. Let's see where we're at. Whoa, man, what's happening here? Get some volume up. Okay, so I guess it's still just going around the planet, huh? All right. So, powered by Starlink, 42 minutes in. We'll check back on that one. All right, so that's the Matt Gaetz update. Now, let's turn our attention over to what's happening in New York, because we do have a filing to attend to here. And it starts with an update from the Trump team. Trump's team declares victory in New York. Alvin Bragg and Judge Merchan having a rough time dealing with the presidential victory, saying that they have beaten the Manhattan witch hunt case, calling this a total and definitive victory for President Trump and the American people who elected him in a landslide, because what has happened is the prosecution has agreed that there should be a pause. They say the Manhattan DA has conceded that this witch hunt cannot continue. The lawless case is now stayed, and President Trump's legal team is moving to get it dismissed once and for all. Stephen Chung, Trump communications director, who's making his way over with the campaign into the administration, and we're excited about that. So they're telling us that the sentencing has been stayed. Some are pointing to this note, including Anna Bauer, and saying that the sentencing has been adjourned into November 26. So we'll see if that date is still continuing to be held at 9 a.m. We know that the prior sentencing was adjourned. And so we're asking if the 26th date is going to still be on the calendar, but we do not know the answer to that quite yet. But this is what has led to this pause. This is why Trump's team is declaring victory. And so let's start with the actual original filing from Trump's defense, which we're just learning about here today because it was attached as Exhibit 1 to the government's response to this. So this is what Trump is asking for. They say, all right, Alvin Bragg. They sent this to Alvin Bragg, right? Not to the judge. They're sending this to the prosecutors. We haven't seen this yet. They say, all right, Alvin, on behalf of our client, President Trump, and just to be ultra clear on who's writing this, which is so fun and outstanding, this is being written by, as we'll see, a couple emails are being included, but right here, Todd Blanche, incoming Deputy Attorney General under Matt Gaetz, and then Emil Bove, Assistant Deputy Attorney General. So these are going to be number 2 and number 3 at the DOJ, writing a letter to Alvin Bragg right now. That's fun. That makes me happy as a defense attorney. It's like a dream come true. They say, all right, on behalf of our client, President Trump, Alvin, we respectfully request that you dismiss this case with prejudice and consent to a stay of all deadlines in the case while you consider this request during the pendency of the appeal. Saying the DOJ is reportedly preparing to dismiss these other cases. This is the case in New York State Court. They're going to dismiss the federal cases from Jack Smith, the illegitimate so-called prosecutor. And we were informed by Jack's office last night that they plan to seek a stay of federal deadlines until December 2nd while those deliberations are underway, while they decide, are we going to dismiss this or not? So they write, consistent with those actions, dismissal of this case is necessary under the Constitution and under federal law to facilitate the orderly transition of executive power and in the interest of justice following Trump's victory in the Electoral College and the popular vote in the presidential election. Here's why. You must dismiss this case. It's required. A sitting president may not be prosecuted. Now, in addition to Alvin Bragg's violations of the presidential immunity doctrine during grand jury proceedings and during the trial, which they did flagrantly, and remember, they used immune evidence, the president is allowed to do presidential duties. The Constitution says that. That's like giving somebody a job and saying you can't perform those jobs that we hired you to do. He has to do it. That's part of his election. Part of that was criminalized by Alvin Bragg. They said, oh, look at this conversation between you and your White House staff. That's criminal. No, that's immune. He's allowed to have conversations with them. And that was decided by the Supreme Court. They tried to criminalize non-criminal immune things, and they did that unlawfully. Now, that was decided in the January 6th case because Judge Chutkan paused that case and allowed the appeals to mature at the higher level. But Merchan didn't do that here and introduced that evidence into the case, tainting the case, whereas Chutkan did not. She never allowed the trial to go forward, and Jack Smith knew that was so catastrophic, he had to come back and write a second indictment to redo it because his first one was so bad and filled with immune evidence. So this case is crap in the first place, and it should be dismissed outright. It should be dismissed also because now we have new fatal presidential immunity problems now based on Trump's current status and his ongoing official acts in connection with the transition of executive power. They say, stinks to be you, Alvin, says a sitting president is completely immune from indictment or any criminal process. All right. That comes from the Trump versus United States case and also comes from an Office of Legal Counsel memo. This doctrine has been well recognized since the dawn of the Republic. The president, quote, cannot be liable to arrest, imprisonment, or detention while he is in the discharge of the duties of his office. Justice Story wrote about that in his commentaries in 1833. Because the president is the root of the executive branch. Okay, it doesn't work. The system doesn't work if you can do that. It's like dividing by zero. It does not compute. After reviewing historical sources and case law, The DOJ reinforced this conclusion in 2000. They said, quote, the DOJ wrote this, given the potentially momentous political consequences for the nation at stake, there is a fundamental, structural, and incompatibility between the ordinary application of the criminal process and the office of the president. Tell that to Judge Chutkan, who said repeatedly during her prosecution of Trump, it didn't matter at all. The same complete immunity from criminal process of any kind extends to a president-elect. He's transitioning into the president. There is no material difference between President Trump's current status after his overwhelming victory in the national election and that of a sitting president following inauguration. Federal law provides for the orderly transfer of executive powers in connection with the expiration of a term. Specifically, the Transition Act requires all officers of the government to take lawful steps to promote the orderly transition, and the national interest is reliant upon this. Trump has already commenced this process. It's monumental. To require Trump to address further criminal proceedings at this point would not only violate the Constitution, but it would also disrupt the presidential transition process. And states have no power to retard, impede, or burden anything like that. Saying, in short, the Constitution forbids placing into the hands of a single prosecutor and grand jury the practical ability to impede a president. And so accordingly, Alvin Bragg should dismiss the charges, that's you, Alvin, with prejudice, forthwith, now. Dismissal is also required because Bragg and his office, they have an inability to timely conclude this case in a timely and lawful fashion. The investigation took years. The charges were not filed until after Trump declared he was running for president, and pre-sentencing appeals concerning federal law issues would unacceptably continue long into Trump's second term in office. For example, they tell us last month, Alvin Bragg strategically chose a post-election date of January 13th to file a responsive brief in the Second Circuit. Now, in order to vindicate Trump's rights to a federal forum, which is even stronger after an election, Merchan must not decide the immunity motion or sentencing before the appeal is resolved. Okay, so they said we're appealing another issue, and that has to come first in the sequence of events. If you go out of order, then you violate our right to appeal. The result would be illogical. And so as a result of Bragg's choices, including the decision to bring the charges against Trump after he declared his candidacy and to wait until next year to file, his office is responsible for an inexcusable delay that will result. And if they cause an inexcusable delay, you must dismiss the indictment. Moreover, regardless of the outcome of the appeal, Judge Merchan should, if he should deny the pending presidential immunity motion, then Trump's going to appeal that. Now, although Trump may initiate the appeal in the First Department in New York, it could ultimately go all the way up to the Supreme Court. And that process would likely take a year or more. And they knew that was going to happen, and it's going to be delayed. And so finally, to state what should be obvious, Judge Merchan cannot impose any restrictions whatsoever on President Trump prior to or during his second term in office. Thus, even if there was to be a sentencing, despite Alvin Bragg's violations of presidential immunity at the grand jury setting and the trial, nothing could take place until late January 2029. And that timing is impermissible under New York law. You cannot delay it that long. Collectively, these issues threaten the possibility of an extended proceeding, which alone may render the president unduly cautious in the discharge of his duty, right? If the president has to worry, like, I'm going to get out and they're going to throw me in prison as soon as I'm out of office, they're going to arrest me. He's going to be focused on that, not getting arrested, not doing his job. The Constitution does not tolerate impediments to the effective functioning of government. The enfeebling of the president and our government would thereby result, and there would be factional strife, which is exactly what the framers wanted to avoid. And we have avoided it. Okay, we have voted and vetoed all of these stupid cases. Nobody cares about them. They voted for them, for the president. Let me say that again. I say that a lot. Nobody cares. A lot of people care, obviously. They're still upset about it. But they lost the election. So we move on past that issue. The game is over. Recognize accordingly, we don't need unnecessary strife. This is another reason that dismissal is required and in the interest of justice. They say a stay is necessary here. The foregoing considerations establish the need for dismissal. However, to the extent that you're unable to dismiss this case before the end of the week, Trump's defense said, we're going to file a motion for a stay of proceedings. While you consider this, while the appeal is resolved, let us know how you want to proceed. Alvin Bragg, right? So this is Trump's defense sending this to Alvin. Now Alvin is responding, and this is what his team has said to the judge. Fresh out of the oven, November 19th, they say, Dear Judge, here's our position in the New York case. As a result of the election, says Alvin's office, on November 5th, President-elect defendant is the right proper phrase. The President-elect defendant's inauguration as president will occur on January 20th, 2025. In light of that development, President-elect defendant asked the district attorney by letter that we just read to dismiss this prosecution and to consent to a stay of these proceedings pending consideration of his dismissal request. Now, the people requested a brief adjournment to evaluate this. We wanted some more time to think it through, which you granted. And in doing so, you told us to submit this by this date, which we are doing now. Now, for the reasons that we're going to explain below, Alvin Bragg and his office, we believe that the people should set a motion schedule for the forthcoming motion to dismiss, which the people intend to oppose. So when Trump files to dismiss all this, they're going to say, nope. Assuming that you allow him to file a motion to dismiss, and the court does so promptly, the people ask that their response to keep this case right on track comes back by December 9th. The people believe that further proceedings before this court should be adjourned to permit litigation of the defendant's forthcoming motion, and therefore the people would not oppose a motion for a stay of further proceedings while the motion is adjudicated. So this is where Trump's team is declaring victory, because it sounds like that sentencing is no longer on the docket. Right now, the next thing that we'll have will be adjudication of a motion to dismiss. See, the sentencing is slowly getting moved, bumped, and replaced. So yeah, we don't oppose a defense motion for a stay of further proceedings before this court, which is currently the sentencing. That is the further proceeding while that motion is adjudicated. All right, so it's very sneaky prosecutor language, but they're like, yeah, sentencing's kind of gone. Now, the people, when they file this motion to dismiss, that they say, we're going to oppose this. We've carefully considered what Trump's team has said. They say that this case must be immediately dismissed because of legal immunity as the president-elect and because they're appealing this. And they say, we think those arguments are bad. They say defendant's letter also argues the case should be dismissed now because the appeals cannot be timely concluded and that Trump is immune. They say, well, the people deeply respect the office of the president. Not really. They're mindful of the demands and the obligations of the presidency, and they acknowledge that Trump is president-elect defendant's inauguration will raise unprecedented legal questions. But no current law establishes that a president's temporary immunity from prosecution requires dismissal of a post-trial criminal proceeding that was initiated at the time when he was not immune. So we got him in the window when he wasn't immune, and so that's good enough. Immunity is not retroactive, in other words. Rather, existing law says we must balance these interests and preserve the integrity of the justice system. And so given the need to balance these issues, consideration must be given to non-dismissal options that may address any concerns raised by the pendency of post-trial criminal proceedings, such as deferral of all remaining criminal proceedings until after the end of Trump's term. Okay, we were waiting for that. They'll just pause it. They'll say, sure, yeah, we'll just pause it. We'll come back in 4 years and we'll just pick it right back up. We'll do sentencing right after. Indeed, one corollary of the temporary nature of presidential immunity is that immunity should not lead to consequences that forever thwart the public interest in the law. And so they're going to fully brief those issues, and they're going to want to hang on to this until Trump's done. But they say, we do not intend to object to a stay, though, of further proceedings. Yeah, that's the sentencing. In addition to intending to file a motion to dismiss, President-elect defendant has also expressed his intent to stay, which I got to tell you is like historic to say that. President-elect defendant. It's like incredible. Has also expressed his intent to seek a stay of further proceedings. In response to any such motion, the people expect that we would not oppose the request of a stay. We note two reasons. Why are we okay kind of getting rid of the sentencing without saying that? Well, first, as a practical matter, Trump's stated plan is to pursue immediate dismissal and file interlocutory appeals. Those are appeals in the middle. That would lead to a stay in any event. So sentencing is going to get postponed anyways. We're also going to stay proceedings now until the resolution to avoid unnecessary litigation. And if we go to sentencing now, it would not avoid the new immunity question that they intend to raise. So he finally said the word sentencing. Okay, first time I think he said it in this time because he doesn't want to admit what they're alleviating. You can see it in his writing. Further proceedings, further proceedings, further proceedings. We're okay moving further proceedings, remaining criminal proceedings. It's a sentencing. You know what it is. Say it. I know it hurts to say it. I know you don't want to admit it, but you have to. And they finally did at the very end of the motion. You're postponing this sentencing. These aren't pretrial proceedings. Signed by Alvin Bragg himself and Matthew Colangelo, Biden's hitman, hatchet man, and the original number 3 in the DOJ, who left. Guess who he's going to be replaced by? Emil Bove. Yeah, baby. Incredible. So life just is getting better and better, as you can see. And now we'll come back on the 26th. We'll see if the docket is updated. But Trump's people very happy about it because they're recognizing what that actually said. Alvin Bragg is admitting sentencing doesn't need to happen now. We're going to go backwards, basically, and now open this case for litigation on a motion to dismiss. So Trump wins again. Alvin Bragg and the corrupt DOJ prosecutors who were sent over there, like Matthew Colangelo, to help Alvin Bragg and his office there in Manhattan, lose again. All right, so that's good news. All right, where are we at with Elon? Trump's over there. Let's see. Space aliens? Okay, we're at T-1 hour. T plus 1 hour. Oh, two, sorry.
Expectations today.
Not minus, above.
We really want to push the hardware, as we've been saying. But really, the telemetry and the data and the video that we receive all the way to the end is truly what we're looking for and will help inform the future designs of this vehicle.
We could see some flap movement as the camera is moving around. That's what you're seeing there is the flaps adjusting. And we have a camera on one of the flaps there this is the view that you're seeing there. And you can also see the graphic in the bottom.
Starship is slowing down past Mach 1.
And call-outs aligning with this. You can see the orientation of the vehicle starting to change. You can follow that graphic at the bottom of your screen. Again, that is why those flaps are changing. They control the orientation of the vehicle.
Yeah, there are four. Go ahead, Dan.
Starship has started the subsonic belly flop, remains on a good trajectory.
I was going to say this is when things will start to get a little interesting. So this is when we're moving slower than the speed of sound. You can see that nose slowly start to tip down, and we're going to try and maintain flap control the whole way. But we are just a couple minutes away from hopefully doing a landing flip and landing burn if the flaps can hold together.
Yeah, this is such a cool view. This reminds me of when we first performed the belly flop maneuver on the high altitude test with serial number 8.
All right, so it sounds like we're going to be doing something cool here for like the next 5 minutes or so. So we'll hang with this, and then we're going to come back and we're going to finish up with a border segment and some Tom Homan stuff. So we'll do about 5 minutes of this.
Down a little further and
we'll see what happens.
Nose first. This higher angle of attack. You know, we're intentionally doing it to stress those aft flaps And that will help inform the limits of flap control in order to collect data for future landing profiles.
I mean, we're looking good so far. We've just got about 5 kilometers in altitude to go. We'll ignite the engines when we're still just a couple hundred meters over the ground, do that flip.
Starship is
and
passing
landing
through
burn.
5 kilometers altitude, remains on a good trajectory.
I have a feeling this is going to look so cool as it passes through the clouds.
We're going through the clouds.
Obligatory shout out to the entire avionics team on Starship.
Whoa!
And there's that nose down orientation.
Now the Raptor engines will relight and help flip the booster back up. This is a more severe flip given the orientation. The engines will shut down prior to the water making impact, prior to the vehicle making impact with the water.
Our ship is doing great so far.
What is happening?
There's those engines relighting.
What a great reorientation by Starship.
Wow.
All 3 down to 2.
Starship is landed.
Wow. Here we have ship splashed down in the Indian Ocean.
Wild.
Some awesome buoy cam action here. Daylight views.
Amazing.
Incredible. We really pushed the limits on ship and it made it all the way back down to Earth.
I am shocked, to be honest.
Man, congrats
I think
everybody
many
on that
folks
team.
Are. The fact that it survived all the way through while flying a lesser gen heat shield is just absolutely incredible. And turns out the vehicle had more capability than our calculations predicted. And that is why we test like we fly.
Exactly why we do that. And those views were absolutely incredible to watch.
Yeah, amazing. So shout out to the SpaceX crew on an awesome flight. It is exciting to see cool stuff like that happening. And I'm really grateful to spend that historic moment with you guys. So thanks for hanging with us as we talked about it. And congrats to everybody who's a part of that. I mean, we'll fast forward the clock and those things will be zipping up and down all over the place. We fast forward a few years from now, they'll be zipping all over the place, baby. We're going to outer space, baby. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. All right, so that is awesome. Shout out to the SpaceX crew and everybody who makes that stuff possible. It is a wild time to be alive. Very cool. Elon, Trump was there. Hopefully they had a great time. We'll follow back up on that tomorrow. Very cool. All right, but we got a border update as well. And this is a fun one. Trump confirms he means business. When he takes office, he says, "This is true," with 3 exclamation points, so you know he's serious. He's responding to Tom Fitton, who is with Justice Watch, and Trump said this: "Good news, reports are incoming that the incoming President Trump administration is prepared to declare a national emergency and will use military assets to reverse the Biden invasion through mass deportation programs." And Trump is confirming that's going to be happening. Now, as you can expect, right on cue, many people are saying they're going to oppose this and fight to stop non-citizens from leaving. Here is one person in Massachusetts. Her name is Governor Maura Healey. Her and others are going to get a dose of reality when they meet Tom Homan, because Tom Homan is this fella who says, well, they better pay attention, all right? Because when we come in, we're not playing around, and said the following: they don't want to cross that line, okay? So just be very careful. Says that elected officials in Massachusetts and elsewhere are reacting to Trump's claims and threats to deport hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants or illegals out of the country. Trump campaigned on a promise of the largest mass deportation in U.S. history, says he intends to deliver on it. Now, Maura Healey, who declared a state of emergency after migrants came to her state, says something needs to be done, but she expressed concerns about communities being uprooted. Says, I think it's absolutely appropriate that there be enforcement and deportation of individuals who commit crime. That's very important. We recognize it would be devastating if there were mass raids here and across the country that took out people that have been working in this country, families and kids. That's where they always go. It's the families and kids. Now, while Massachusetts is not a sanctuary state, it does have 8 sanctuary cities. Boston's mayor, Michelle Wu, called the attention to the Trust Act passed in 2014, saying, we know that the fear of someone who might be coming from an immigrant family, not them reporting crimes or not speaking out, actually makes the community less safe. Cambridge is also a sanctuary city. And so they're gearing up to oppose Trump's efforts. This was another story from NBC News saying that Democratic governors vow to protect their states from Trump and his policies. And there's a growing list of blue state governors, including several 2028 people who are already planning legislative sessions and legal actions and other moves, and they're going to come out and fight Trump. Well, we'll see how that works out for him. ABC saying the same. The border czar is going to go to Mar-a-Lago to discuss the plan. That's Tom Homan. Now, he's tapped several hardliners to serve in these positions. Kristi Noem, you know she means business, was picked to be Homeland Security Secretary, pending Senate confirmation, and Tom Homan, the border czar, and he was out hitting the media saying, listen, we're not playing around. We come in office, all right? So just get ready for it. We saw these exchanges of governors who were saying that they are going to obstruct and insurrect the new administration. Here's what this sounded like.
Wasting no time pushing back. Watch.
I will not tolerate actions
Katie
that harm
Hobbs from
Arizonans,
Arizona.
that harm our communities, and quite honestly, divert resources from providing real security at our border.
The idea of calling out, the Army into the domestic confines of the United States seems uncalled for.
This morning, President-elect Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan, is joining us right now.
What's up, Tom?
Good morning. So, brother, let's break down this because, you see all these media experts saying that Abuela is going to be deported. I think you have 2 priorities, right? First, you got to get the criminal element, which everyone agrees with. And then number 2, you go straight for those 8 million people that have been coming across the border under Joe Biden, right?
Yeah, we got 3 rails of business, Lawrence. First of all, we got to secure the border. We know how to do that. We've done it before. Second of all, we need to run this deportation operations. The president's been clear. Out of the gate, we're going to focus on public safety threats and national security threats first. And fugitives, those who cross the border legally, had great due process at great taxpayer expense, were ordered removed by an immigration judge and didn't leave. They're also a priority. And third rail, we got to find over 300,000 children that were released to this country to so-called sponsors that the government can't find. We also got to find the children.
Waved in.
Them.
So real quick, Tom, do you deputize the local, like state police, like Texas DPS wants to work with ICE? They want to work with the Border Patrol. Do they get deputized to help out with this crisis?
Yeah, we're going to fight with the 287G jail program, 287G task force programs, both law enforcement agencies that want to help. Since I've been announced, Lawrence, I've gotten thousands of soldiers that just recently left the military. They want to join forces. Police officers that retired want to join forces. But retired Border Patrol agents, retired ICE agents that want to come back. Retirement from Border Patrol, that paperwork is pulled back. There's a lot of excitement to do this job for the President of the United States.
Yeah. Tom, I want to get your reaction to this story. Apparently, the roommate of the illegal immigrant accused of murdering Laken Riley testified yesterday that they took the humanitarian flight from New York City to Georgia before they killed Laken Riley.
Flown in.
What's your reaction to that?
To murder our citizens.
Look, he should have been arrested by ICE in New York City, but they're a sanctuary city. He should never be in the country. Under President Trump, he wouldn't have been here. He would have been waiting in Mexico under the Remain in Mexico program. But here's what I want. For all those mayors and governors who said they're going to push back on ICE to do this operation, I want you to listen to that tape of that young lady fighting for her life, fighting for her breath. She did not want to die, and she fought hard. Listen to it. Just don't say, okay, another one died. No, I want you to listen to the struggles, because that happens across this country almost every day by an illegal alien. So I want those sanctuary city people out there saying they're going to push back on ICE. Listen to that and tell me. I just said President Trump wants to take public safety threats off the street. That's a priority. As elected mayor, elected governor, are you telling me that you don't want public safety threats out of your communities? That is your number one responsibility, to protect your community. So smarten up and work with us.
Tom, real quickly, what happens to a mayor or local police department chief that is under Democratic leadership that obstructs ICE in your federal agents that are helping get these deportations? What happens to them?
You deport them too.
Well, first of all, if they don't want to help us get the hell out of the way, we're going to do it. If I got to send twice the amount of resources to that city, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
If they would give us access
They
to
can
the
go with
jail,
them.
that would mean less agents in the community. For them pushing back and not letting us in the jail, it just means more agents are going to be in the community, so they're hurting themselves. Finally, I'll say this. They need to educate themselves. They need to review this. Title 8, United States Code 1324, III. Read about that and don't cross that line, because it is a felony to harbor and conceal an illegal alien from ICE. Read the statute. Don't cross that line.
Whoa, Tom Homan!
Right there. Read it.
You better obey, governors and mayors. Otherwise, you'll be investigated for felonious, illegal harboring and misconduct. That's exactly the guy that we need in charge as the borders are. That's how you get stuff done. If he can just talk. Every time he's on the cable news, I would guess we probably have several more self-deportations happening. Oh, gosh. That guy's coming around? All right, we got to go home. Here's another exchange of Tom.
Already declare a terror emergency. More than 1,950 terror suspects alone caught crossing under Biden. That's just a generation after 9/11.
Well, the Biden administration hasn't done enough. If you look at the removal of criminal aliens, those illegal in the United States who've been convicted of a crime, those removals are down 74% from the Trump administration. So there hasn't been enough focus on criminal aliens, specifically these alien gangs like Trump-Elon and MS-13. But President Trump has promised that public safety threats and national security threats are their priority right out of the gate. So we're going to be looking at Trump-Elon. Their days of horror are coming to an end.
Talk to us about, we've seen numbers, 800,000 criminal illegal aliens crossing over the last 40 years through Biden. The National Guard already has been deployed under the Biden White House, but there's pushback against the Trump wanting to use military assets to deport illegal aliens. How does that work when you catch a criminal illegal alien to deportment? Can you walk us through how it works?
Well, first of all, DOD's helped several administrations to secure the border, Republican and Democrat. DOD will be used, if we have an agreement from DOD, the president has to make that decision. But if we use DOD, then they'll be used to do non-enforcement duties, such as transportation, whether it's on ground or air, infrastructure building, intelligence. Things that would take a badge and gun and ICE officer that are doing these type of duties, takes them away from those duties, put them on the street, and let the military do those duties, because it doesn't require immigration authority. So there'll be a force multiplier to take more agents, put them on the streets where we need them. But look, we arrest a criminal animal, we take them into custody. They're put in detention, they're put in an ICE bed while we make arrangements for the home country. They got to send us travel documents. They got to accept them as a national of their country. It takes several days, up to 2 weeks. So we detain them, put them on the next airplane out, and send them out. And we're hoping DOD will help us with air flights, because there's a limited number of planes ICE has contracts with. So DOD can certainly help with air flights all across the globe.
Tom, talk to us about how no other country in the world has had its border abused by illegal aliens like the United States.
Absolutely not. We are in a world that I never thought we'd be in, Liz. Border Patrol has arrested, since Joe Biden's been in the White House, they have arrested people from 181 different countries. The whole world. That's almost every country in the world.
Yeah, the whole world.
And 46,000 Chinese nationals of males of military age. There's no way 46,000 Chinese did not leave China without the coordination and consent of the Chinese government. It just doesn't happen. So we got a lot of national security threats in this nation that we got to find. We got to get them out of here quickly.
Let's go. Tom Homan not playing around. So great updates from him. Meanwhile, we have our president, who was at the G20, and would have been a good opportunity for him to try to talk to some other people about them sending 180 of their citizens, 180 countries, sending their people into our country. without any consequence at all. He could have done something about it, but he didn't. And so he was walking back to his airplane, and here is this poor media journalist screaming from the top of her lungs, "Please, just talk to us, Mr. President."
For your birthday, will you talk to us, sir? As a gift to the press, will you please talk to us? Mr. President, President Biden, please, we haven't heard from you all trip. Mr. President!
Poor lady, man. She's been having a tough one. She's trying so hard. I have a ton of empathy from her. She's working hard. She's like, they put me on 15 different flights to get here. I had to sit next to somebody who took up 3 seats and I was only in 1 seat. You know, she's like miserable. And they lost my luggage. I just need one answer. Mr. President, God. And he just leaves, just ignores her. You're like, this lady, man, poor woman. I feel terrible for her. Hopefully she's able to make her way home. She put in a good effort, but she's talking to Joe Biden. There's nothing there, but good effort. All right. So my friends, it's a beautiful day. Let's see what you say about this. If you're just joining us, a quick recap on some of the things that we talked about in case you missed it, want to rewind and join us back here. But we talked about the launch, the space launch, and it was a fun one. Not totally successful, but that's okay because we're going to see him succeed the next time and the next time and the next time. But they launched a rocket and we followed it up and back down, and it was a ton of fun. Then we talked about the Gaetz stuff, and in the Matt Gaetz territory, there apparently was a hacker who got their hands on the Gaetz file, and it's filled with innuendo from apparently people who are not credible, less than credible, according to one report from that CNN guy. But nonetheless, they'll smear Gaetz and smear Trump's appointment process and try to make a big show of it. We'll see what the senators do. Mitch McConnell came out, lectured us about Ukraine, and we got very limited answers on recess appointments and whether they're going to allow that to happen or not, but we'll keep the pressure up. We also had an update from Alvin Bragg's courtroom in Alvin Bragg's land in New York. Judge Mercan got a letter from Alvin Bragg basically acquiescing to removing the sentencing date from the calendar, replacing it with a motion to dismiss evidentiary hearing, and then we'll deal with the case later. So crumbled, Trump's team declaring victory on that, and that case is on life support, so that's good news. And then we talked about the border, Trump confirming military assets, national emergency. We're not playing around. Tom Homan saying if you're going to be an obstructing governor or mayor, well, get ready because federal law says we're coming for you for harboring illegals and committing multiple felonies. And so we're looking forward to that. And so now, my friends, it's time to hear from you. And we'll see what you say about all this. It's a beautiful day. I saw some great donos come in. Thank you for these. We'll say hello to our friends on X. We'll go over to Locals, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. If you're a new member, if you just joined us as a member, grab the stream from this morning. We did a members only stream this morning. It was a lot of fun. Talked about a bunch of other things. And that's that. Yeah, that's right. Hey, oh, look at this nice kitty. Says, I am just here to wish you happy Tuesday. Oh, that's so nice. Hey, Michael Perkle. What's up, Michael Perkle? Thanks for becoming a member, joining us on the YouTubes. Hey, Deranged Poke User says, this will be a beautiful liftoff, a great liftoff, one of the greatest ever seen. You're not going to see this in Russia or China because we have Elon, and they don't have Elon, and Elon is smart. What's up? That sounds like Trump. Nathan C. says, we got 1,900 people watching and only 308 likes. Let's hit that like button. Thank you, Nathan C., for reminding everybody. It's usually it's right there. If you see it, just give it a little love tap. We'd love you for it. Hey, PowerCell, what's up on Rumble? Thank you, PowerCell, for watching on Rumble, being a member there. Says, if the judge plans to adjourn the case for 4 years, does the gag order remain in effect the whole time? Ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, if the judge says, yeah, I'm going to pause everything in its current form, yeah, everything would stay. That's why it's ridiculous, right? He knows. I think they all know, but they just have to they're inching away from this. He'll set a motion to dismiss, then they'll have a hearing. Then after the hearing, the judge will grant the motion to dismiss, and then it'll go. Hey, what's up? Ollie. What's up, Ollie? Ollie brought in Joseph Roy. Welcome, Joseph. Thanks, Ollie, for bringing in a new membo. Off-Label Podcast is going to be interviewing Joseph Sweeney. Hey, says tonight we sit with Joe Sweeney again to discuss some horrible things our government is doing and ask the question, is our government committing treason? Come join us, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which will be right almost when we're done. No, we're going to be done earlier than that. So 8 p.m. Eastern, have a great stream, Off-Label. Have a ton of fun with Joe. Tell him I said hello. Rub some dirt on it. Says, Rob, when they're operational, we need you to watch the watchers for low orbit. Well, that's what we were trying to do today. We were going intergalactic. Yeah, we're going to go intergalactic. We're going to take this show to Mars one day. It's going to be incredible. Hey, Nancy Jennings. What's up, Nancy? Says, did you see the huge shredder vehicle outside the DOJ today at 2 p.m. today? Was caught on camera. Yeah, we did, Nancy. You saw it. You're ahead of us. Yeah, we pulled it up on the show. Oversight Project was there. Shredders go burr. Thank you, Nancy Jennings, for flagging it. Good to see you. Thanks for being a membo, too. Hey, Tony, hey. Bringing in Jakub Heidion. Gifted a membo, courtesy of Tony Hey Munkets. Welcome. Mike Lombardo. What's up, Mike? 10 months as a membo. Hey, says, highly encourage everyone to listen to and to follow The Duran. The Duran. The Duran. Love the show, Rob. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike, for being a membo. And shout out to The Duran. Hey, Crash is here. Says, from SpaceX back to 1948, me, my sister, and grandma on my great-grandparents' farm in northern Wisconsin. What a great photo. Grandma, mom, and sister, northern Wisconsin. Beautiful photo. Thank you, Crash. I love those old vintage photos. The world feels like it looked differently back then. Knox says, happy Tuesday, all. More interesting picks. Yeah, so Knox is sharing the story. Mehmet Oz, right? Dr. Oz, who lost that Senate race to Fetterman, is now going into the Trump administration, working on Medicare and Medicaid. It's an interesting pick. Thank you, Knox, for flagging it. Glocky says, so that number of exhibits doesn't seem like a lot for a federal case involving trafficking. And why do hacks always seem to go one way, like against Trump and his tax returns? The Fulton County courthouse during his hearings. It's either Soros or Democrats, or in the House working with the feds. Yeah, I mean, it's like the FBI. I mean, it's the FBI is working against Trump. It's insane. This one. Yeah, Kermit the Frog, man. Kermit the Frog. I'm Trey Gowdy. We're going to save America. Donald Trump. No, we're not going to say the name. We're not going to say it. Nice try, though. Nice effort. But I saw it. Hey, General Kale says the GOP fights under Marquess of Queensberry rules. The left fights by any means necessary. That is why the GOP is full of losers, and they hate Trump because he fights to win. The Marquess of Queensberry rules. I don't even know what those are. But yeah, they fight like... what is it? Dandies is the word I was thinking of. Whatever that means. What Marquess of Queensberry. The word that came to my brain was dandies. They fight like dandies. I don't know. Can you say that? Is that illegal to say that word now? Is that like a thing? I don't know what that means. Is that an offensive word? Is that a homophobic word maybe? I don't know. Well, that's the word that came to my brain. Maybe I have some reprogramming I need to do. But all right, General Kale, thank you for that. Cheryl Pansies, maybe? Pansies is the word? Cheryl says, Megyn Kelly just dropped a YouTube video. Is dandies a word? All right. Megyn Kelly just dropped a YouTube video. Joel Greenberg, the guy providing, quote, evidence against Gaetz, pleaded guilty to trafficking a minor and fabricating allegations against his political opponent. Oh, great. Man, shout out to Megyn Kelly. That's awesome. She's great. So, yeah, it sounds like we're going to learn more about these accusers. It sounds like they have no credibility at all. And they're smearing Matt Gaetz over it. Crash says, in confirmation vetting hearings, Bork comes to mind, and the pattern is always the same and decidedly one-sided. The right never engages in these partisan assassinations and the infamous high-tech lynching of Clarence Thomas. Oh, yeah. I mean, the SCOTUS ones are brutal. Brett Kavanaugh, remember? They went through that guy's yearbook, and they're like, he was like assaulting high school students or something from his high school, like years ago. They just, with Blasey Ford, remember her and her whole team of Democrats? Rob says, credibility problems haunt Democrat complaints like there it is, like Dr. Ford was assaulted by Brett Kavanaugh, right? At a house she didn't remember where it was, and 8 people said don't remember being there. Yeah. It's so gross. So disgusting. Hey, Rob, what's up? Says, and all the Democrat senators said crying Dr. Ford was credible, especially Chuck Schumer. I bet they'll find all the assaults on Trump's other appointments too. Yeah, Pete Hegseth, they're doing the same thing with him. Everybody's just an abuser now all of a sudden. They're going to come out. And oh yeah, we're going to hear more about Kristi Noem too. Are you serious? They're going to be that confirmation hearing, it's going to be Old Yeller 24/7. Just gunshots. You know, dogs like dying all over the place. It's going to be fun. Hey, we had this one. Get prepped with the wellness company. That's right. There's your boy. Taking care of a sick kid. What a nice guy I am. What a nice, a real photo. That's little Johnny. He sprained his ankle running from Antifa, but he's going to be better again, and he's going to be back in no time. Courtesy of the wellness company. All right, thank you. We didn't do the promo today, but we'll do that tomorrow. Hey, because we were watching Rockets today, so we'll do that tomorrow. Thank you, thank you for the meme. Who did the meme? Who did the meme? Crash says, in confirmation vetting hearings, oh, we got that one. Thank you, Crash. This one from Glocky says, Justice Scalia, writing for the remaining members of the Noel Canning Court in concurrence, agreed with the majority and proclaimed members of the president's party in Congress may be able to prevent the Senate from holding pro forma sessions with the necessary frequency. And if the House and Senate disagree, the president may be able to adjourn both to such time as he shall think proper. Glocky in the House, thank you. Says, yeah, there it is. The shredding truck in Washington. Tony Hay. What's up, Tony Hay? Suzanne Latour got a memo. Thank you, Tony Hay. Welcome, Suzanne. Jennifer is bringing in Beers in BS in the house. Welcome aboard, Beers in BS. Thank you, Jennifer. More Here is bringing in Rage Star. Welcome, Rage Star. Thank you, More Here. Tony Hay is bringing in Angel Brat. Welcome, Angel. And More Here is bringing in Lawrence K. Edgett Jr. Welcome, Lawrence K. Edgett Jr. We're glad to have you. This old guy says, the big, beautiful jury of the American electorate has decided the outcome of Bragg's silliness. The people have spoken, and no judge can reverse. No judge can reverse that one. Lady I says, all right, look, these dingbats honestly felt it was okay to violate Trump's constitutional rights and deny him the protections that were normally afforded to other presidents because they thought they were ruining him politically with no consequences coming their way at all. Surely no way that Trump was going to ever win and ever be in a position that he would go after them ever again. The audacity and the ignorance. Yeah, they burned the boats, man. They broke glass in case of emergency. They thought, we'll just break glass this one time and he'll never win. Well, he won. They goofed. Chubby says, Bragg just wants to break further precedent by keeping a politically motivated sentencing of a bogus trial looming over the head of a sitting president. But they totes want to uphold the integrity of our legal system. Mock face. Thank you for that, Chubby. Yeah, just continue to be relevant. Let it linger. Have an evidentiary hearing and then a motion. Tony, hey, what's up? Thank you for bringing in Brandon, the anime guy. Welcome, Brandon. We got More Here's bringing in I Believe. Knox says, the best quote I heard about Tom Homan. Dude looks like he was born under a manhole cover in downtown Chicago. That is true. Oh, it's great. And he sounds like it too, like he's been living down there for like 25 years. Talking with the Chicago tunnel people. That's why he knows the insides and outs of tunnels. He knows. He's like, it's bad down there. We're kicking them out. Tom, what have you seen? I don't want to talk about it, but I've seen some stuff. Glocky says, Google's going to host a party for leftists plotting to resist the Republican agenda. All right. See how that works out for him. It's not just Democrat governors. Get ready for YouTube to come after people like me over the next 4 years. Yeah, we're going to get ready for it. Knox says, clearly Katie Hobbs has heard of the supremacy clause at some point in law school. She is owned by someone who profits from the cartel run border. Good to see you, Knox. Acid Burn says, God save the king of all presidents, Trump and Rob. Thank you, Acid Burn. Thank you, Acid Burn. It's nice to be in the same sentence. Hey, Jack Mack. What's up, Jack Mack? In the house. Jack Mack is here. Bringing in 5 membos. Short round. Welcome. Porch, James Johnson, Timmy Chang, and Sicily Lover in the house. Courtesy of Jack. Thank you, Jack. Hopefully you're having an amazing week. It is great to see you. More here is bringing in 5 more here. We got Leslie R., Jack Danielson, George Bichevelle. We got Lori Leon and Jeff Triptow in the house, courtesy of more here. Knox Bierman says, the Duran is the best. True views of foreign affairs. Alex and Alex are currently in Budapest. Man, that sounds great. So they're all over the world. That sounds awesome. So shout out to the Duran. Thank you, Knox. Marge, what's up, Marge? Thank you, Marge, for the dono. And thanks for being here. Acid Burn says, Rob, my engine doesn't use liquid fuel. Speed light. Acid Burn. My engine doesn't use liquid fuel. Speed light. I don't know what kind of engine that is, Acid Burn, but it sounds cool. Marge says, hey, talk to your AI last night. Thanks. I 100% love America. Thank you, Marge. Did you talk to it in the video format? So the video is the most uncanny thing, I think. The video is the one that makes you go, what? This is weird. So if you haven't tried the video call with the AI yet, try it. And we're beta testing it with membos right now, because it's training and we're learning what people are asking about it. So yeah, thank you for testing it. Pam, what's up, says, oh good, I wonder if Oz will know Medicare was the first price fixing. That is what messed up the entire medical system. The insurance companies created the idea of pre-existing condition and more. I was there. I should do a video about that. You should. That is also the mechanism they used to fudge the COVID numbers. I wrote about that, but they keep hacking my blog over it, says Pam. There hopefully are repercussions for the COVID scam this term. Not Brandon says, I attempted to get into the Roosevelt Hotel again yesterday, but apparently my Espanol still es no bueno. Which Roosevelt Hotel? Well, necesitas practicando, I think. Yeah. Michael McKenna says, is Trump still under a gag order? Yeah, to one. Yeah, he is. There's still a, to my understanding, there's still a gag. It's been loosened a bit because the trial's over. But yeah, like he can't talk about the judge's daughter. Nitty Linny, Marquess of Queensberry rules, says 1800s rules for a fair boxing match brought to the U.S. by John Wayne in the movie The Quiet Man. Ah. Rules for a fair boxing match. I did not know that. Thank you. How enlightening that is. Very enlightening. Brought to the U.S. by John Wayne in the movie The Quiet Man. Shout out to John Wayne. Tony Hey Munkets. What's up, Tony? Thank you for the nice dono. Says left, right. I'm really not sure what that all means. We are all depending on the government. We here are depending on what we think is a good government. I'm off on the weekends. I volunteer President Trump. MAGA means taking responsibility. Yeah, some good points in that one, Tony Hey. The idea is to depend less on the government. We want to depend less on the government. The government is not the solution to our problems. The government is like a necessary, if you have to have it, it does the basic things so that it can act as oil for the rest of us who are actually the gears of society. We make the things move. We do the heavy lifting. They just create a currency that we can use to grease things up. That is a functional currency. But I think, I don't know about you, but my perspective is to become anti-fragile to the point that you don't need the government at all. Which at one point even probably means not even getting your electricity from them, right? That's like how far you can take this, but it's a great comment. Thank you, Tony Hay, for the dono. We appreciate it. Jerry RN says, prepare for the shadow cabinet against Trump. Yeah, that's a good way to phrase that. Keep your eye on the second layer that is trying to control things from afar. Nate 490 says, the world can't handle an AI Robert Gouveia. Where do we check that out at? So Nate, we'll drop the link. We're currently keeping it for membos only right now. We'll drop the link. They'll drop it in the locals. I just don't want to get it overwhelmed. We're training it still. So we'll drop that link. You're on locals, so you can grab it. Text Rick says, wasn't Trey G the chair of the Benghazi committee that didn't get real results? Yeah. Was he the chair? No subpoena allowed from Ryan's office, as I recall, for anyone. Very weak tea. Yeah, and there was also like a back and forth with him. Like, wasn't he demanding subpoenas from Trump at one point? Like, he was also demanding that Trump comply with the request, or he was going to threaten to subpoena Trump and sorts of things. Well, he's like, they're not above the law. Yeah, I remember just not liking him for a slew of reasons. And then somebody, I honestly tried to be a big person about it. Because E. Dantes is a good dude. We've talked about it, and he's on locals. He's like, well, Rob, maybe you should read his book and think about it. And I was like, yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't be such a mean punk. And then I listened to it for 5 minutes, and I'm not kidding. I'm like, I watched the first 2 minutes where he was talking about his hat. I'm like, oh, for the love of. Then I fast forwarded it to that clip, and then he said, now I may never run for office again on what I'm about to say to you right now. But sometimes the majority isn't always right. Trey, no! People jumping out the windows as he said that. Wow, you're kidding. Shocking. Thanks, Trey. All right, thank you, Tex Rick. Acid Bird says, oh, it's a spacecraft engine I invented. It's called Go Speed of Light. Wow, that's pretty awesome, Acid Burn. I would love if you could send me a copy of the blueprints and instructions on how to build it. Please. All right. My friends, amazing. Thank you for that. Great comments. Great donos. Great fun. Let's say hello to our friends on X. And we'll then go over to locals to see what you have to say. And on locals yesterday, I didn't share what was in the box like a total buffoon. So please remind me this time, okay? Please remind me. I know you did at the end, but anyways, we're going to show what's in the box this time. All right, my friends, let's see who is on X, who is joining us over there. If anybody's saying hello, we do. James Pepper says, the SpaceX stuff, now you know what we went through watching Apollo and the Gemini missions when I was a kid. Yeah, I mean, it makes me feel like a kid. It's like, I cannot believe what they're doing. They're launching buildings into the sky. It's crazy. James Pepper, what's up? Minnie Tika says, I love that you're going bananas too. How can you not go bananas? One small step for a banana, one giant leap for mankind. Exactly. Shake says, the problem anointing someone like Tish James, it just confirms her self-righteousness and it makes me sick. What's up, Darby Shaw? Wouldn't it be fun if the White House hats commandeered the shredding truck and there were no blades in the shredder, just filing totes? That's hilarious. They put it in the shredder and it just puts it into like a manila folder and then another one, manila folder. It's Trump's evidence file. Every shredder, new folder. Or it's just a fax machine. It just faxes it to Trump's office. Yeah, shred some more. Faxing it to Trump. His fax. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. Hopefully that's what's happening. All right. And so, my friends, thank you for those comments over on X. We're going to go over to locals. We're going to hang out over there and debrief and see what else is happening on in our community. There's that Judge Engeron photo again. Oh, gosh almighty. All right. And so we'll leave it there. I think we had Tony Hay says, I honestly don't consider the Trump government. I consider him a patriot, but I'm still depending on him to save America. You see what I mean? I see what you mean. Yeah, we're part of a movement. Trump is leading the movement, and he's a strong leader. So, yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, Tony Hay. Thanks for clarifying it, because you could also take that a different way. Like, do you want to rely on the government to provide for you? That's not what you were saying. So I appreciate you clarifying. Good stuff. All right, my friends, it has been an amazing stream. Thank you so much for being here and for joining us. Mods, thank you for holding the fort down for us. Playing hooky, John McGarvey. I got Donut Mind Me's clipping away. And K-Bean, good to see K-Bean playing hooky. Great to see everybody. Thank you for modding the fort down for us. We appreciate you. We're going over to locals to hang out, my friends. We hope to see you there, but if we do not, well, that is going to be okay. Now, yeah, it's going to be okay because we're going to come back here tomorrow to get into it again. And in order to do that, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.